first thing I wish I knew at age 16 was to become more process-oriented rather than results-oriented. The 16-year-old version of myself was absolutely obsessed with writing down goals. And that's a habit that I'm so happy that I developed because it's a huge reason as to where I am today. But all of my goals were results oriented. They were all goals focused about the outcome of something. It was goals like make my ODP regional team, win state cup with my club team, get 10 plus goals this season, get 5 plus assists, etc. And those are great goals to have. You need to have those milestones to make sure you're on track at improving and reaching the next level. But those should be the minority of your goals. I believe that the majority of your goals should be focused around the process. These are goals focused around the day-to-day, week-to-week grind of how you're going to achieve those results-driven goals. So for example, if my results-driven goal was to get 5 plus assists this season, my process-oriented goals would be to stay after training twice this week and work on crossing for at least 15 minutes. Stuff like that where you can completely control the outcome of those goals, checking off those goals that will help you achieve your results goal. And I think that's so important because I think it gets you focused on the right things. You're focused on the process, you're focused on the day-to-day work and not just on the outcome of how that game goes or how that season goes. The second thing that I wish I knew is that you need to understand how you stack up against your competition, against your peers, against the next level. But you also need to understand that comparison is the thief of joy. As an aspiring collegiate or professional athlete, you need to understand that you will be constantly compared to your teammates, to the players at the next level, to your competition from other teams. You are constantly compared every single day at training, every single game, every single ranking system. It's basically your job to be compared to other players. And if you're better than your peers, if you're better than your competition, you'll get more opportunities, you'll get more starts, you'll get more money, you'll get more whatever. So you need to get comfortable being compared and comparing yourself to other players, but you need to do it in a practical way. Don't let the comparison of someone else's situation get you down mentally. Don't compare yourself to the 14-year-old kid that's signing for Philadelphia Union or Real Madrid and have that make you feel bad about yourself. Don't compare your situations because everybody's going to have their time in the light and everybody's going to have their time in the dark. Instead, you need to compare the skill set, the actual skills. Is he better than me? Why is he better? Is his first touch better? Is his decision making better? Is he faster? Is he stronger? Blah, 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 blah. You basically want to compare your FIFA scorecard on a realistic standpoint to see what you need to work on to reach that next level. Don't compare the lifestyle, the accolades, or the success. And that completely ties into the third point, which is realize that the standout at 16 isn't always going to be the standout at 21. And very, very rarely is he the standout at age 30. At 16, I really was jealous of a lot of players out there. I was really jealous of players that were going on to sign pro contracts. I was really jealous of players that were getting tons of D1 offers when at the time I had 0. And I just thought that I was capable of doing what these kids were doing, but it wasn't happening for me. And I think this really stemmed from this stress or this anxiety thinking that if I don't have a whole bunch of success and accolades and a spotlight on me at 16, I'm not going to gain the same level of success as a lot of these other kids. And it's really funny to think about that now as a 31-year-old, because when I think back to the kids that I was really, really jealous of that were getting attention from professional clubs or getting attention from D1 schools at 16, the majority of them never went on to go sign a pro contract. The majority of them were retired by the age of 21. A couple of them didn't even have any success at all in college. You hear this quote all the time about how life or your career is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And as I've gotten older and older, that quote just rings more and more true. Everybody has these little blips up or blips down in their success. Some people get it really fast. Some people it takes forever to get it. Some people, steadily increase. Some people have this rocky road. It's all different for everybody. But the players that stay focused on the process, the players that keep on training every single day for years, for decades, the players that have that grit, that mental side of the game and just don't stop, those are the players that end up having more and more of the success. And even if they have those blips down or other players blip up and have a little bit more success at any given point, over the long term, the marathon that is your career, the players that really truly grind and work harder are going to have much successful careers. Number 4, go after every single route to the professional or the collegiate game and then decide later on the best path for you. I talk to a lot of kids on my one-on-one Zoom calls, and the biggest question I probably get pertaining to these players' careers is, I don't know which path to take. I don't know if I should go to pro trials over in Europe. I don't know if I should play the semi-pro game here in America. I don't know if I should attend a D1 school or a D2 school or whatever it is. I don't know which path to start pursuing. And the advice that I give every single time is go after them all. Go after every single one. If you have a coach that knows professional teams in Europe, tell him that you want to go and play for these teams, that you want to get trials for those teams. Go and reach out to D1, D2, D3, NAI, even the local JUCO schools in your area. Reach out to them all. Talk to USL2, UPSL, NPSL teams in your area, the semi-pro teams in your area to see if you can get opportunities. Then when the time comes where you really need to make a decision around age 18, then you can decide. Then you can look at all the opportunities that are laid out in front of you. You have a pro trial with a third division team in Croatia. You have this UPSL local team that wants you to play for them. You have this D1 school that's interested in you for this amount of money. You have this D2 school that's interested in you. You have these 3 D3 schools. Now you can look at all the opportunities that you've procured for yourself and basically say, this is the best one. I think I'm going to go with this. That's what my gut's saying now. The 5th thing that I wish I knew at age 16 was to start stretching and to start doing prehab, rehab exercises now. It honestly takes a very little amount of time to prevent a ton of soft tissue muscle injuries. At 16, you'll probably be able to get away with not doing this, but as you get older and older, and you hear this all the time from other people, but you just don't listen, but your body starts to tighten up. The muscle imbalances get more and more imbalanced. It takes longer and longer to recover. And the earlier you get into this mindset of prehabbing your body, rehabbing your body, taking care of your body, the better it's going to be. And I think if I would have started at 16 to get in a habit of just doing 10, 15 minutes of prehab stuff, 3 or 4 times a week, I could have prevented so many injuries down the line. I could have prevented surgeries. I could have prevented weeks, if not months, if not years spent injured on the sideline just from doing a few exercises, a few minutes a day. I cannot recommend doing this enough. And if you are interested in doing this, I'll just link probably 20 to 30 of my favorite prehab rehab exercises, just video tutorials in the description, just so you get an idea of a starting place of some exercises to do. Number 6, and this is specifically towards 16-year-old Nat Sheldon, but you are not skilled enough. You might think that you are a very skilled player, but you are a medium-sized fish in a very, very small pond. When you progress up to the D1 collegiate level, you will get punched in the face with how good, how technical, how skilled these players are, and you will be bottom of the barrel and you will have to work your way up. Same thing when you progress to the semi-professional level, you will get smacked in the face with how technical these guys are and how skilled these guys are and how good and composed these guys are on the ball. And again, as you progress to the professional level, this is where you will see the biggest jump in skill level, composure on the ball, speed of play, technicality of the players. Don't get complacent with anything, but especially with your technical skills. Technical skills are something that will literally never be good enough, and you will constantly need to work on them throughout your entire career. Number 7, get comfortable hearing the word no. You're going to get rejected or ghosted way more than you're going to be told yes, especially when you progress a little bit more to emailing collegiate coaches, especially when you talk to USL2 and semi-pro coaches, and definitely when you start reaching out to professional clubs. You will be ghosted or told no way, way, way more than you were told yes. I think at 16, the football world really starts to bottleneck. You have all of these really talented players where there once was a surplus of teams. Now you start to progress to a really small number of collegiate teams, or even a smaller number of semi-pro teams, or even a drastically smaller number of professional teams. But you still have all these high-level players looking for opportunities. So the biggest piece of advice I can give is just get comfortable hearing no or not getting a reply back. Don't take it personal. Just keep on grinding, keep chipping away, keep sending off emails, keep sending your highlight video out, keep talking to agents, keep searching for opportunities, because all you need is one of these clubs to say yes and you'll get a professional contract, or one of these schools to say yes and you'll get a collegiate scholarship. The 8th thing that I wish I knew at age 16 is that around this age, football really starts to become a business. Before the age of 16, it's really more about the development, and at the very low levels, it's kind of just about getting players active and having fun. But as you progress, as you get older, it starts to become about this business of winning. And this pretty quickly turns you to an asset as a player. You need to start learning how to invest in yourself, how to market yourself, how to protect yourself, how to negotiate for yourself. And that's not saying that you should go at this alone. You should try to find people to help you and coaches to help you and agents to help you and develop a network of people that you can trust and that want the best for your career. But you need to be proactive with your career because you only get one shot. And if you sit back and think that somebody's going to take your hand and walk you through your career and keep on fighting for you when times get tough, you're going to be in a very, very rude awakening when all of a sudden you're sitting back and no opportunities are coming anymore. A lot of the times, the players that have the longest careers and the most successful careers not only perform on the field, but they're performing off the field in a variety of different areas. They're researching about nutrition in their off time so they can maximize their recovery. They're investing in themselves and their training equipment so they can get the most on the field. They're the ones that are reaching out to a multitude of agents to find the best one that will help them. They're creating their own highlight video and perfecting it to send it to college coaches. They are being proactive with their career. Number 9, you need to have something special about your game. You need to bring something different to the table, whether that's your dribbling or your speed or your work rate or your vision or your leadership or your physicality or whatever it is. You need to have that special part about your game that will help you stand out on the field. I've had a pretty unique opportunity to work with my agency at collegiate and professional combines and basically sit in the room with the coaches as they scout players at these combines or tryouts. And I think the biggest takeaway that I get from being in these rooms is that majority of players that go to these combines are just decent players. They're solid collegiate, solid semi-pros, sometimes even solid pros, but there's nothing that's really standing out about their game that's really going to get a coach interested in signing them for a professional contract. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you can get away with just being very decent and they need to fill in depth in a roster and you could get lucky that 1 or 2 times, but you really don't want to rely on that. And like I said before, the professional world just bottlenecks so much at this age where there's just this surplus of players and there's very few amount of opportunities that you need to have something special. And specifically for you, 16-year-old Matt Sheldon, that's going to be your work rate, your speed, and your dribbling ability. Tap into that, double down in those areas, and showcase those abilities in any combine trial or tryout that you go to. Showcase what you can do. Showcase those best parts about your game. You don't have to show that you can ping a 50-yard long ball. You don't have to show that you have the vision or creative passing like a skilled number 10. If you do that, great, but showcase what makes you special and double down in those areas. Now, having said that, the 10th thing that I wish I knew at age 16 is that you can't just be a one-trick pony. I really like to imagine like my weekly training schedule. If you look at all the drills, all the technical stuff that I do in my team training, my individual training, my partner and small group trainings, hopefully throughout the week or the month, 1/3 of the drills are focused in that special area about my game, my strongest strengths. 1/3 of the drills and the training is focused on my weaknesses, the stuff that's really holding back my game from reaching that next level. And then 1/3 of my training and all the drills that I do throughout the week or the month are the general football drills, the everything else just to round you out as a player. That way, it's a really good balance of doing everything, yet still doubling down in your areas, bringing up your weak points, and keeping everything sharp. And the reason you need to improve your weaknesses is because there are pros out there right now whose weaknesses are better than your strongest strengths. Because if 16-year-old Matt Sheldon just focused on his work rate, speed, and dribbling ability and just did drills for that and focused on nothing else, and he just doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down in those areas, as he got higher and higher up, and as I did go higher and higher up, I found players with the same work rate, the same speed, and the same dribbling ability, but could also play tiki-taka. They could also finish way better than I could. They also had other parts of their game that were better. And so here I am in college looking at my strongest strengths and finding another player who can do exactly what I can do, but also not be deficient in the areas that I was deficient. And luckily I realized this at age 19 or 20 and started bringing up my weaknesses. But if I never would have done that, I think that I would have probably plateaued and stopped right there in my career. Number 11, get other hobbies. Find something else in the world that you like to do or that occupies your time in a fulfilling way other than football, other than working out, other than running. These healthy distractions are really going to help you during the lows of your career. It might sound weird for me as a professional footballer talking to a younger player trying to become a professional footballer and say, Get a distraction, do something else, play video games, go to coffee shops, hang out with your friends. Don't just focus on the grind, but it's 100% true and it will help you. Most of the players that end up quitting at an early age or retiring do so because of the mental side of the game. They hit some sort of adversity, they get injured, they get cut from a team, they go through some low of their career and they go, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. Screw this, I'm done. From my experience, if your entire world, your entire identity is just Matt Sheldon, the footballer, Matt Sheldon, the guy who works on the gym, Matt Sheldon, the guy who trains to become a pro footballer, it's amazing when you're at a high of your career and you're scoring goals and things are going great, you're starting, your team's winning. It's incredible, incredible high. But if things aren't going well on the field, it's an incredible, incredible low. There's nothing else in your life to help balance you out and bring you up from that low. All you have is football. And when football is not going well, all you have is not going well. And by doing this, by having healthy distractions in my career, I find that it keeps me in a better mental state and in turn helps me with my career in the long term by not forcing me to quit when I'm at one of these lows, and even improving my general mood so I show up to training every single day happier and ready to work. I think that these distractions can be distracting if you go overboard with them, but if you develop the right balance, I think it has a positive impact on your career. Number 12. Football is just a game. If you talk to all my friends, my family, my teammates, you'll hear that football is one of the only true things in my life that I take 100% seriously. Everything else, I kind of just see it as more of having fun. But even then, football for me is just a game. If you start putting so much pressure on yourself where it's no longer fun, where you don't enjoy being out on the field anymore, where you're scared to make mistakes, it's gone too far. You have to put this in perspective. You're kicking a ball around on the field. Now you can have that desire to be the best at kicking the ball around at a field, but you can't turn this into a matter of life and death in your head, or else that excess pressure, in my opinion, can start to have a negative impact on your performances. And I've been there. I've been to the point where I'm no longer having fun and I'm stressed out and I'm nervous and I'm scared to make a mistake. And all of a sudden I'm playing like a shell of my previous self because of all this pressure I'm building up in my own head. And you have to have the perspective that there's much more serious things out there in life. There's people that are literally fighting for their lives, fighting in wars, fighting in really tough situations out there in the world. And you have this privilege of kicking a ball around a grassy field. Now you should still take it serious. I take every single touch I do extremely serious in the game, but it's not life or death. Number 13, do as much fitness with the ball as possible. Now, I'm a big believer that you still should do fitness without the ball. I love doing the John Terry cardio workout routine on the treadmill. Well, I don't love it. I love the results that it gets, but I absolutely hate doing the workouts. I love going to the track and doing 400-meter runs or 2-mile runs or 1-mile timed runs. I love doing full field sprints or box-to-box runs or shuttle runs at the field as a way to top up my fitness before big preseason trials or whatever it is. But I believe the majority of your fitness should come through playing with the ball and training with the ball. And the reason I believe this is because I think that it would take 10 years minimum to develop the technical and tactical IQ that you need to develop in order to play at the professional level. But in order to be as fit as a professional footballer, I think that the averagely athletic person in their teens or 20s could get there in 6 months of doing the right workouts. So if you spend all of your work on doing something that really should only take 6 months of proper regimented training, and you neglect the thing that's going to take 10 years of dedicated work, you're not going to help out your career. The 14th thing I wish I knew at age 16, and this is probably going to be a controversial one, but have a backup plan. I've seen some stuff from pros say that having a plan B can distract from plan A, and I get where they're coming from, but you only hear that from the players that were successful. That's what's called survivorship bias. You're not hearing the interviews from the majority of players where it didn't work out and they never signed a pro contract telling you that they're really happy they didn't have a plan B. Most of them probably wish they could have gone back and told themselves, just start thinking about a backup plan. Start thinking about what you want to do post-retirement. It really takes such a tiny part of your day to start planning for the future. I know pro players that put every single ounce of energy into training, into workouts, into watching the pros, into reviewing their own film. They're doing everything right. They're eating the right way. They're sleeping the right way. And yet they still have multiple hours at the end of the day where they're doing nothing. And instead of watching hours and hours of Netflix or browsing TikTok for 6 hours, they add in 1 hour a day of planning for the future. I've seen pros get degrees by just doing a couple hours a night throughout their entire career. I've seen pros get their real estate license. I've seen pros start other businesses. I've seen pros start YouTube channels. I've seen pros become certified financial planners, become strength and conditioning coaches. I've seen pros do so many things by just spending an hour or 2 hours when they would be watching Netflix or movies at night and start developing some sort of backup plan. And even if your backup plan is to stay in the game and become a coach, well, you can start thinking about coaching certifications and badges and licenses. And if it doesn't work out, I would just hate for a lot of you to be stuck and directionless. And I've seen a lot of players get into some pretty dark places when their career ends and they don't know which direction they want to pursue. Number 15, get comfortable spending time outside of your comfort zone. DM that group of pros or that group of college players or that group of high schoolers that are better than you and ask if you can hop in an off-season session. Get a workout in with the strongest guy on your team, hit long balls with the best center back on your team, play 1v1 with the best winger on your team. Push yourself and find areas that you are uncomfortable, that you know that you're not going to be the best at, and push to develop in those areas. And even off the field, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get used to sending uncomfortable emails, asking for a trial or asking for an opportunity with college coaches, with agents, with professional teams. Get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations with your coaches about what you need to work on to improve, what level you're at, if they can help you reach that next level. Go outside of your comfort zone and spend more time there, because slowly by doing this, your comfort zone starts to expand and expand and expand. And it's truly how you grow as a player and as a person. And finally, the last thing that I wish I could tell my 16-year-old self is that you can play for 16 more years. You can have 16 more years of development, if not more. So don't stress out the temporary speed bumps, or don't get too low and feel like you want to quit over something that could be resolved in 3 months, because 3 months is going to seem like the smallest tiny blip of your 30-year career. If you truly love this game and you're obsessed with this sport, then play for as long as you possibly can, because when it's over, it's going to be over. I've seen a lot of players regret that they've quit too soon and just wishing and daydreaming what their life or what their career could have looked like if they would have just pushed through those 6 months of rehabbing that injury, or just gave it another year of going on trials overseas. You just don't want to flash forward 20, 30 years and be that 40 or 50-year-old guy that looks back at his career and regrets that he quit too soon and wonders what could have been.